Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about multi-threaded programming of module number 4, as you can see in the screen, a snippet of syllabus copy. Now before we go for a threading concept, we will first look at what is multitasking. Multitasking is nothing but performing multiple tasks at the same time. Okay, say for example, while typing in a text editor or writing something in a text editor, you can put something for download. Okay, you can put your computer for scanning of computer virus, you can listen to the music, you can do all these things, something like this, all these things simultaneously or at the same time. This is called as multitasking. Okay, now what is thread? Okay, if you in a computer, if you want to run any application, operating system will be creating a process. Okay, in the same way, Java virtual machine will also create a process, and each process will be having a thread, at least one thread, and that thread is named as main. It means that you can take any Java application, any Java program, if you are running it, there will be at least one thread will be there, and that thread will be called as main. Okay, it means that you can have more number of threads also there, possibility, but at least one thread will be there, and that is called as main. Okay, now with respect to Java, how can we define what is thread? Okay, now thread is nothing but lightweight sub process. See here, it is a sub process. Okay, it means that there is a process that is divided into multiple sub process. Okay, when we are going to divide something into multiple sub process, okay, say for example, there is a complex problem is there. To understand that complex problem in a better way, we are going to divide that one into simple blocks or simple parts of that one and try to understand in a better way. In the same way, when there is a process is there, one single process is there, okay, and if you want to execute it, it may take some quite long time. Okay, rather than taking long time to achieve a result, what we do is we'll divide that process into simple sub processes and execute all of them independently. So what it does is sub process will be executing simultaneously and independently, and at the end we are going to achieve a result in a less amount of time. Okay, and that sub process is nothing but a thread. Okay, and for any program, smallest independent unit will be a thread, and each thread will be having, or each sub process will be having its own execution path. It means it is a independent, so it will be having its own execution path. Every Java program have at least one thread, as we already said that one, and that is called as main. Okay, to deal with the threads, we have a thread class. Okay, here see that T is a capital. Thread class like that will be present in java.lang.thread. Okay, it means Java is providing us a package with a thread class. So if you want to deal with, to create a thread, to deal with the thread, to control the thread, okay, all you can do is we need to make use of the methods and the features which are already there in the thread class. Okay, now let us say take a simple example. There are two different statements. They are similar but they are not the same. Okay, now first statement says that let's take an example to understand thread. Okay, if you look at that one, if you type that one in your text editor, say for example Microsoft Word, there will be no spell check message for you. Means whenever there is a something, a spelling mistake is there, there will be a red color underline. That will not be there in the first statement. Okay, while typing you can go forward and type what is the remaining thing is there, you can type. But when it comes to the second statement, okay, there is a two spelling mistakes are there. Okay, while typing, if you do some mistakes like this, automatically there will be a red color underline below those words where you made some spelling mistake. So there is a thing happening that the application what we are running an application called as Microsoft Word. what we are doing a typing or writing something. But while doing that one, in the same time, there is one more activity is also taking place, that is spell check. Okay, so that spell check is performed by a thread which is dedicated for checking a spelling. Okay, so immediately there will be a red color underline below those two words which are in a block font. Okay, so that is nothing but a thread. You can identify there is a thread working for identifying a mistakes in the spelling. Okay, now each thread will be in any of these states which are given in the figure. Okay, this is the life cycle of a thread. Okay, what are the different status a thread can be in at any given point of time? Okay, there are few states. It can be in a new state, it can be in runnable state, it can be in running state, it can be in waiting state, or it can be in terminated state. So these are the only 5 states where a thread can be in. There is no other state. Okay, we'll see that what actually they are. Okay, so first one is a new. Okay, when we say that a thread is in state called as new. Okay, creating object of the thread in the memory. So it means whenever you create object of a thread, then we say that there is a new thread. Okay, or thread is in the new state. Next one is runnable. Once new thread is started, it comes to runnable state. Okay, then running state, that is thread start executing by entering run method and yield method send thread back to runnable state. So as we can see here, runnable and running states are bidirectional. Okay, so that is what they meant. Okay, running is nothing but executing, it is in execution. Then waiting state, that is thread will be in this state when it is temporarily inactive, means it is alive but not able to run. Say for example, if you played a particular music file, a song is ongoing, in between you just pause it. That pause, when you click on the pause button, that is nothing but a waiting state. It means that still that file is live, means alive. Okay, but it is temporarily inactive because you clicked on the pause button. That kind of state is nothing but a waiting state. Then terminated, when it completes its task, means whenever the thread completes its task, then automatically it will be in a terminated state. Say for example, the music file is completely played out. Okay, and you click on the close button. Whenever you click on the close button, stop button, or the song is completed, then we say that the thread is in terminated state. So these are the only possible 5 states where a thread can be in at any given point of time. Then as we say that Java is having a dedicated thread class, and a thread class will be having possible number of methods which are useful for us to deal with thread. And here we have listed out a few regularly used methods and the meaning of them. Okay, get name, obtain a thread's name. Get priority, obtain a thread's priority. Is alive, determine if a thread is still running or not, means it is a boolean value. If it is still alive, it will be true. If it is not alive, it is not still working or running, the answer will be false, like that. Okay, join, wait for a thread to terminate. And run method, entry point of the thread, means when the run method is started executing, then it means that our thread is start executing, or it will start doing its work. Okay, sleep, suspend a thread for a period of time. Okay, it's very important. Sometimes we need to make a particular thread to wait for some time rather than terminating it. We want to make that particular thread to wait for some time. So at that point in time, we make use of this method called as sleep. And the next one is the start a thread by calling its run method. See, start is the one method which will invoke a run method. Okay, so when the run method is invoked, then the thread is under execution and it will start the thing, whatever, or the work, whatever it has to be, whatever it is designated to work. Okay, now how to make a class threadable? Okay, so for whatever the programs, whatever the discussion we have made, there we just created classes, written some instruction and executed. But without our knowledge, it's very evident that there is a thread. As we already said that at least one thread will be there, that is called as main thread. Now, if you want to explicitly make a class threadable, there are two ways of doing it. One is extend the class thread. Another one is implement interface runnable. So there are two ways. You can choose whichever the way you want to select. Okay. Either there is already a class, you just extend it. Extending means inheriting the class thread. Extending is nothing but what? Inheriting the properties and features or the behaviors of the another class. Okay, and there is a interface runnable, and rather than extending a class, if you want to just make use of interface and you just implement it. When it is required to implement a runnable interface rather than extending a thread, we'll see that later. Okay, now there are steps to be followed if you want to extend a class thread. Okay, to make your own class as threadable. Okay, first one is create a class and extend thread class. Okay, so there is already thread class named, there is a thread class is there, and you create your own class. Say for example, class A. Class A extends thread. It means whatever the features are there in the thread class will be inherited by the class A, which is your class. Okay, now override run method. See, it is already, we said that run method is the one which will make your thread to execute or do the task, whichever it has to do. Okay, create object of the class means you write a class, you extend thread, and you have override the run method inside your class, and you create an object of that class in the main or somewhere else, and invoke start method to execute the custom threads run. See here, this is also we have seen in the previous slide that start is the method which will invoke the run method. Okay, so these are the steps to be followed while making class as a threadable class by extending thread. And this is an example. See here, we have a user class which is named as my thread, and it extends thread. Okay, that extends thread. That thread is nothing but a thread class which is already there. Okay, and here we are writing public void run, and run is having a output statement sample thread. Okay, and in the main we are creating an object of my thread, and with that object we are invoking start. So whenever the start is called off, and it will invoke the run, and inside that run we have a output statement, and that will be printed. Okay, this is the simple example where you can see how you can make a class threadable by extending thread class. Okay, and there is another method, implementing interface runnable. First we'll understand why, when already we have a thread class which can be used while making a class as threadable, but there is a problem whenever a class is already inherited properties of another class and you want to make it as threadable. That is not possible because multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. Okay, it means multiple inheritance means one class cannot be extending more than one class. Say for example, class A extends class B, comma C. That is not possible. Means class A cannot extend both B as well as C. It can either extend B or it can extend C. One class cannot be having the properties and behaviors of more than one class. If it is having, that is called as multiple inheritance. That is not possible in Java. So whenever a class you want to make it as a threadable is already extending another class, then it is not possible to extend the thread class. In that scenario, you have to make it as a threadable, but you cannot extend the thread class. At that point in time, rather than extending thread class, you just have to implement the interface which is called as runnable. Okay. Then again it has got its own steps. Create a class implementing runnable interface, override run method, create object of the class, invoke start method using the object. See, everything remains the same, just there is a difference in the first statement. Okay, that's all. There in the previous case we just extended thread, here we are implementing runnable. That's all. You can see in the example. See here, public class myThread implements runnable. That's all the remaining things are same, and in the line number 9 there is a little bit difference how we are going to create a object. Other than that, everything remains same. So these are the two methods and very important to know, and make a note of this one. How to make a class threadable? There are two ways, either by extending a thread class or by implementing an interface called as runnable, and these two snippet of code will be very useful to explain. Then comes the multi-threading. So far we had been through what is multitasking, what is thread, how to make class threadable. Now multi-threading, it means that it is the ability of a program to run more than one threads at a time or concurrently, where each of the thread can handle a different task at the same time, making efficient use of the resources. It means, as we know that thread is a subprocess. So rather than executing a process sequentially one after the other, obviously it is going to take some considerable amount of time. Rather than doing that one, we'll divide it to sub-process and start executing all of them in the simultaneous way. It means we are reducing amount of time, but at the end we are going to get the result as we are expecting from the sequential execution of process. The answers or the results will be same, but the consumption of time will be very less in multi-threading programming compared to other one. Okay, so when multiple threads are executing at the same time, there will be obvious difficulties will be there. Okay, the one very important thing we need to take care of is synchronization. Okay, say for example, let us read it out first. When two or more threads need access to a shared resource, they need some way to ensure that the resource will be used by only one thread at a time. The process by which this is achieved is called synchronization. Okay, now it means that multiple threads are executing at the same time, but when there is a demand for same resource by more than one thread, say for example there is a thread A, there is a thread B, both the threads are demanding for or want to access for a particular resource X. Okay, but at the same time both thread A and thread B cannot access the X. At any given point of time, a resource will be accessed by only one thread. Okay, if multiple threads are accessing the same resource at the same time, there will be a problem. Okay, to avoid that problem, there is a concept of synchronization which will prioritize which method has to be, which thread has to be accessing the resource X, whether it is A or B. What should be the communication between A and B, how they have to access X. Okay, it is as simple as, say for example, there are two computers or two people. Both the people will give command for printing some documents, and both the documents will be printed in the same printer, and both of them will be giving the print command at the same time. Okay, so which document has to be printed first, whether document A will be printed first or document B will be printed first, how to prioritize, how to schedule, that has to be taken care, how those two will be communicating between each other. And it's very bad idea that one page of A will be printed, after that one page of B will be printed, then again third page will be from A, fourth page will be from B. That is a very bad idea. Okay, so we need to have a synchronization when multiple threads want to access the same resource. If they are not accessing the same resource, that is absolutely fine. They are completely independent, they can do their work. But when they are demanding for the same resource, there will be problem, and that has to be managed, and that managing process will be called as synchronization. Okay, and inter-thread communication, see, it is very useful to achieve synchronization. Okay, there are some methods are there, we'll see them. Wait, okay, wait method is there, and it tells calling thread to give up the monitor or the control, you can say. Tell the calling thread to give up the monitor and go to sleep. Sleep, as we already said, that it will suspend the particular thread for a given amount of time. It will not terminate it, it will suspend it, means it will be in a waiting state. Okay, go to sleep until some other thread enters the same monitor and calls notify. Okay, this is how the threads will be communicating when they are accessing the resource, same resource. Okay, notify method wakes up the thread that called wait on the same object. Okay, say for example, A is accessing printer, it completes its a task, B is waiting. Okay, then it will notify. Okay, and B will understand that, okay, task of A is completed, now I can access the printer, so B will start it. Okay, so that is notify. Then notify all notify all wakes up all the threads that called wait on the same object. One of the thread will be granted access. Say multiple threads are in a waiting state, and it will notify all, and all the waiting threads will be activated, but only one thread will be granted to access it. So it will be based on the priorities and different things. Now in the inter-thread communication, very important one is producer consumer problem. Here we have shown in the very simple block diagram. Okay, there is a producer, there is a consumer, assuming that they both of them are two different threads, and in between them there is a buffer or there is a queue. Now producer, what it will do is it will go on producing the data elements or data items, and consumer thread, what it will do is it will go on consuming which are data which are produced by the producer and placed in the buffer or the queue. Okay, now there is a problem. Okay, producer cannot produce the new data item if the queue is already full. There is no space for the new element. Okay, and in the same way, consumer cannot consume the new data item or the element when the queue is empty. Okay, as simple as that. So there should be communication between producer and consumer to avoid these problems. Okay, now again we will make use of the same wait method and notify all method to resolve this problem. So what we will do is, first producer will check producer will check the buffer or the queue whether it is empty or not, or there is a space for new data item or not. If there is a space for the new data item, it will produce and it will go for a wait state. Means it will start waiting. Okay. Then on the other side, consumer will check the queue to consume whether there is a data or not. Okay. So if there is a data, it will consume. Okay. Then again it will go for wait. So producer produced, it went for waiting state. Consumer consumed and it went for waiting state. Now once after consumer consumed the data, it will notify the producer whatever the data is produced, I consumed, and it will send the notify method. By receiving that notify, again this producer will be activated and he will produce, or that thread will produce new data. So this is just a inter-thread communication problem, and that can be resolved by making use of those methods whatever we have seen earlier. Okay, now this is a overall idea of multi-threading concept or a programming, and this is a very important feature in Java. Here all the thing whatever I have explained to you is a theoretical part. The practical examples and the codes are already available in the textbook. Okay, I will be sharing with you guys. Now it is just a overall idea of how actually the multi-threaded programming will work, and by making use of multiple multi-threading programming, we can save so much of time. Okay, by executing multiple threads simultaneously and achieving the expected results. Okay, thank you.